Welcome back to Worldview. This is a special Independence Day Monday line. My country 'tis of thee. I'm Denis Campbell. In 15 years as a dual national living abroad, I've watched the USA devolve from a sweet land of liberty into a xenophobic, misogynistic, and homophobic polarized land of hatred and bigotry. From a land whose hallmarks were personal freedom, compromise, and meeting each other on middle ground, the transformation to intolerance and anger is worrying. Maybe it's the population growth. The nation did grow by 22% since 1998, from 270 to the current 330 million. But I fear it's more than just numbers. Now, as we ended an historic Newsweek, I marveled at the ignorance and docility of the snoozing electorate. Those who give up freedom for security deserve neither. The title paraphrases Benjamin Franklin. Personal freedom, liberty, and confidentiality is all but gone as the manhunt and whitewashing of former NSA employee Edward Snowden continued. Technically, and in reality, he's a man without country. Since airport transit areas do not require immigration entry into a nation, he's stuck in Moscow's airport, yet not as yet in the country. He literally is Tom Hanks' character in The Terminal. Unable to travel further on a revoked passport, he needs the asylum of a friendly nation or faces deportation back to the USA. And while the vitriol and hate speech was spewed across the right, the timed releases of his trove of data created headaches for U.S. lawmakers. Even President Obama, traveling in the EU and now Africa, was subject to less than adoring leaders and crowds, as the breadth of U.S. spying was released like a slow water torture drip. Now, what I failed to see on this July 4th week is why no one is complaining about the substance of his leaks. No one has been hurt except the very intelligent officials he sought to reveal for breaking the law. And no one is investigating his claims, and there seems to be a lot of smoke emanating from his gun. Congress instead passed a 20-week abortion ban, voted 2 weeks ago to repeal Obamacare for the 37th time, and then went on vacation. Now, this Republican-controlled House broke the record for futility in the previous 112th Congress, becoming the least productive body in history. It now seems destined to surpass even that level of incompetence in this 113th edition. Welcome back, Jim Crow. Now, if you told me in 2013 that the U.S. Supreme Court would undo 50-plus years of civil rights law, I would have said you're joking. In a nation now mostly too young to remember Selma, the lunch counter boycott, Rosa Parks, the Edmund Pettus Bridge stand, and other disgraces heaped upon those who fought for their civil and voting rights against racist state leaders, last Wednesday's Supreme Court decision was a disgrace to liberty, freedom, and independence. In a despicable 5-4 decision, the court threw out the requirement for the biggest offending voters' rights suppressors to obtain pre-clearance for changing their voting laws in any way that would disenfranchise African American and Hispanic voters in their state. They are desperate to keep a white majority in power when demographics are changing rapidly. The ink was not even dry on the opinion before 5 of those states enacted new voter ID and suppression laws, requiring a form of ID that most in those 2 classes do not possess. In Texas alone, some 800,000 people will be unable to vote in 2014 or 2016. Jim Crow lives on. How is that independence or freedom? Gay people exist, Senator, and your wishing otherwise does not make it so. Rachel Maddow was on NBC's Meet the Press, and for the life of me, I cannot understand why host David Gregory gives bigoted homophobes equal time at his table, thus bestowing some form of legitimacy. The debate was over the Supreme Court striking down the Defense of Marriage Act, or DOMA, declaring back then in 1996 when it was passed that marriage was to only be between a man and a woman, and only that was constitutional. Well, the Supreme Court said otherwise and declared DOMA unconstitutional and specifically pointed to the fair and equal treatment under the law doctrine. They also overturned Proposition 8 in California, meaning gay marriage was now legal again in that state, but only that state. Now, while the decision was quick to say each state could decide for themselves, the prevailing opinion by week's end was that legal challenges to the 37 so-called islands of bigotry states prohibiting it would not be allowed to stand under that same fairness doctrine. Again, the bigoted and discredited conservative U.S. Supreme Court was baking half a loaf and becoming more of a laughingstock than it already was. How is this independence or freedom? Give me your tired and your poor, as long as you're not brown-skinned. Immigration reform passed the U.S. Senate 68-32, and an historic 14 Republican senators crossed the aisle to support it. It was a rare day we could say the Senate actually accomplished something. The GOP senators realized there was a demographic time bomb ticking, and they needed to do something to create a pathway to citizenship or risk losing another national election. Social issues are tearing the USA apart. The Tea Party-controlled House is most comfortable doing nothing. The poor and infirm suffer. Why, this group couldn't even pass a farm bill, the one piece of bipartisan legislation Congress has always managed to do. And the leader of the House, John Boehner, pronounced this new immigration bill dead on arrival, despite achieving a 2/3 majority in the U.S. Senate. So Mexicans and Muslims, it's to the back of the line for you. The country whose Statue of Liberty in New York Harbor was a beacon to all those seeking a new life, well, that's closed off to you. But hey, if you're Cuban and escaping Castro's yoke of oppression, come on down. You, like the bill's co-sponsor Marco Rubio's family, can walk right in and get a visa. Why? Because you're a protected class. So when you wonder why Hispanics are not buying Marco's line of reform, it's because his people can walk across the water without problem. Everybody else, you've got to wait. How is that independence and freedom? So when I look back on 15 years abroad as a dual national, I wonder where the USA is headed. You have a good but essentially neutered president, a completely dysfunctional Congress, and a racist Supreme Court. You subject passengers to airport security theater since 9/11, and you created a surveillance state that makes the East German Stasi look like Cub Scouts. You're quick to judge people on sexual orientation without regard to the content of their character. And black people, well, they lost their voting rights in one swipe of the pen. What on earth will you do next week? Sweet land of liberty? Maybe not so much. Happy 237th birthday, America. I'm finding it very hard to send you many happy returns of this day. Please help me. I would love to be a proud American again. Right now, I'm just ashamed.